want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Oh, good afternoon, Mad Men Mafia.
What's up, fools?
Who is you?
Madman Mafia in his house. I'm getting pop-ups, man, on YouTube and Facebook and everybody else saying that we're live and all that kind of stuff, man. It's good. It's good. I like it. I like it.
It's good to be Mad Men in the Hood.
That's right. Hey, if you don't know, I'm Kirk M. Samuels.
And I be Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Right
for
here
you
on
folks
Home for
out
Healthy
there.
Masculinity. Yes.
That's right.
You.
Man, I'm gonna need to practice that intro, man, because here in about a week or two, man, you're gonna be gone for a week. So I need to be able to somehow pull all that together.
Yeah, you know, I'll be watching too, and I'll be like, man,
probably will. You probably be talking trash and all that kind of stuff, man.
I'll be
telling me how big my head is.
Probably not so much.
Right on,
so
right
welcome
on, right
back
on.
to the short show, everybody. Popping in.
Yeah,
and
the
out.
short, the short show, not the other kind of show.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, man. Doing our thing. Come back, if you don't know, we're on KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City. We're on the interwebs everywhere, all the podcast platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and all those kinds of things. So on Mondays, we pop on the our live streams. We go live as we're recording our over the air show. So you get a little bit of behind the scenes on that bad boy. And that's normally about an hour. Then we come back for all of you, all you special folks out there, and we do a shorter version here later on in the week, just to get a topic in, just to talk about some stuff, man, just to chop it up a little bit, a little something.
Yeah, just 30 minutes to save your life. And for those of you who can't even do 30 minutes, we'll chop it up and do some clips for you, put it on TikTok, so you get your 30 seconds or 1 minute clips of us dropping some bombs. Speaking of bombs, how do you feel about transformation, sir?
Transformation, I think I bet you most of our life we're in some form or another transformation. Obviously, we're all getting older, so we're all transforming from younger to older, if nothing else. Maybe for men, we're transforming from young man to just man to old man, and maybe you experience career transformation. You experience transformation in your being as you go through relationship ups and downs, or just growth period, man. I think the only thing that's constant is change in this life, and the sooner we can wrap our head around the whole idea of transformation, the better.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it reminds me of the 4 stages of learning. You're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. You're consciously incompetent. Oh, I didn't know that. Now I know I don't know that. Then you're consciously competent. You're like, oh, I'm learning this, so I have to think about it. And then you become unconsciously competent when it becomes a habit, it becomes a skill. And being aware of how we are in constant transformation, just like anything else, the only constant in the universe is change. Knowing that you're always changing can make it a lot easier than trying to hold on to something that's not going to serve you anymore. And we're doing such big things as a Mad Men here in Denver. I mean, we got the Men's Summit coming up at June 15th. We're partnering with different people like the Dream Center. We just went by there and talked to some of those folks. And that's a huge place where they're helping people with transformation from, homelessness to getting a job and getting a house, to getting off of addictions, to getting out of jail and rejoining society. I mean, talk about transformation. I mean, that's their whole purpose in life. And it got us thinking, like, how, as the Mad Men, can we help support transformation in the world with all the men becoming better and transforming from little boys, nice guys, to strong warrior men?
I think, man, we gotta have somebody on from that organization, man. It was fantastic, all the stuff that they do, all the stuff that they have going on around there, all of the things that all of the ways that they help the community. There's a lot of good things happening in the community, and that's one of them, man. And when we asked them, kind of what they do, and one of the one of the staff said, they help people in transition, or maybe transformation was the word that he used, and I was like, transition from what? He goes, yes. And so a lot of it is transition from maybe incarceration to back out into to society. Maybe it's transition from homelessness to being housed, or whatever it is. And so that was fantastic, man. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing good work, and to that point, there's a lot of people that need the help of the people that are doing good work in terms of everything that they're going through in life, man. Because when you're going through that, man, transformation, if you're a tadpole into a frog, is one thing. It's just biological. The biological transformations we don't necessarily need help with in terms of whether it happens or not. But I do think we could benefit from support and assistance when we go through the transitions of life. Some things that kind of come upon us that we aren't prepared for, or whatever it is, man. When these things happen, man, it's always better when you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, and I think that's part of kind of why we want to do this show, because transformation is basically life. You are constantly transforming, you're constantly growing, and if you're not, then you're. One of the lessons I learned a while ago is that it's either growth or death. You're either growing and changing and transforming, or you're dying, because you can't stay the same. And so, as men, we need to adopt that kind of as a mindset that we're constantly transforming, we're constantly trying to be better, we're constantly trying to be better than the guy I was yesterday, and move towards the guy tomorrow that's he could be even better, and making that a mindset and a thought process so that we can better move through the transformation and realize that it's just a natural part of life. I think so many times we get stuck in who we think we are, who we've been told we are, what we think we are. We have those belief systems ingrained in us from childhood by parents or society or whatnot. And sometimes we get stuck in those and we think, well, this is just who I am because of X, Y, and Z. That's how I grew up. My dad was just like that, so I'm going to be just like that. But when you adopt a growth mindset or a transformation mindset, you realize I don't have to stay that way. I can literally change everything about me. I can change my body. I can change my hair. I can change my name. I can change all these different things. And by shifting your mindset and having a growth mindset from I don't need to be the same person I was, or I'm not stuck that way, realizing I can recreate myself however many times I want. And you look at some of the most successful people, how they just shift from one thing to the next, one business to the next, one personality to the next, one dream or goal to the next. They're constantly moving forward, constantly changing. It doesn't have to be big things, but they're constantly moving. And when we adopt a more growth mindset, because we get stuck in that fixed mindset, and that's actually a great book if you haven't read it, Mindset by Carol Dweck. When you're in a fixed mindset, you think, well, that's just me. I can't change. I'm just stuck this way. So, oh well, there's no point in striving for anything. I'm just this way. I'm just dumb because I went to public school. I'm just whatever. I mean, Kirk and I joke about that all the time, but I mean, we're constantly studying and growing and reading and meeting people and learning stuff. But it's up to you to realize that you're not stuck. This is your choose your own adventure game. This life is you choose your adventure, you choose the next thing, and you move towards that. But when you get stuck and you feel stuck, that's when you really need to consciously go, it's time for me to change. I feel stuck. Obviously, I've hit a plateau and now it's time for the next thing.
This is a weird example that just came to mind, but I end up watching these kind of off the wall documentaries, and a lot of it about animal kingdom and just animal stuff and whatever. And I came across this one not too long ago, where it was about stingrays, and how stingrays, they kind of scour the bottom looking for crabs to eat. And they might skim like a whole big mountain of crabs and just looking, but they didn't grab any one, and they were looking for certain crabs in particular. And crabs, they molt, which means they have an exoskeleton, so they grow from the inside, and then at some point they get kind of too big for the shell that is housing them, and they literally pop out of that shell, and kind of grow a whole new bigger shell, bigger body. So to me, the parallel is us as people. Obviously, structurally, DNA and human wise, we have our skeletons on the inside. But I do believe that growth happens from within. The most important growth happens from within on the inside, and then at some point, I think there are plateaus in life. where you molt emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, relationally, where you get kind of, that growth is maybe almost too big for the shell. And so we go through these periods of time where we come out of that and into kind of a newer form of who we are. The danger is those stingrays were looking for newly molten crabs because the newly molten crabs have soft shells, and those are the ones that are targeted because they're the most vulnerable. So the way the crabs combat that is they all kind of huddle around each other, especially one that is recently molted, and they huddle around each other in a big old mountain, and the ones with the softer shells kind of get further down at the bottom and further insulated and encapsulated by the rest of the group of crabs. And again, parallel for me is that when we go through those shifting periods in life, the transitional, the transformational, the plateau periods in life, and we experience those molting kind of processes, we need to make sure that we're surrounded, by like-minded people at the place where we're people who are already hardened and protected at the level that we're going to or that we plan to be at, so that we can be protected and we can be guarded from the things that come to prey on us in our newly formed state. And so, especially as men, we got to make sure we're surrounded by hardened shell crabs that are at different stages, so that we do have that level of support.
Yeah, it reminds me, I was listening to something, and I'm constantly listening to audiobooks, and a lot of them are personal development, changing mindsets. And one of the things that was kind of popped up for me is that a lot of times us as men don't necessarily have, I almost want to start a frontline foundation, because we as men a lot of time are the front line, we're the vanguard, we're the warriors out there taking the hits, we're trudging, we're breaking trail, we're doing all these things. But a lot of times being out front, you don't have a line of guys with you. So it's incumbent upon us as men to find some guys that are on the same level that can support us. Like Kirk was saying, when you hit that plateau, or when you're molted, or when you're, because we can go so far, and then there comes a little bit of plateau time where we need to reassess, we need to reevaluate, we need to refocus on the new goal. And it can be a vulnerable place because you have identified for so many years, for so long, as this thing or this guy, that when you realize it's time to shift, it can be vulnerable because it's uncomfortable. You're bringing up a whole new skill set, or you're changing a neural pathway, you're changing a belief system. And so you're not going to feel comfortable during that process. So having those around you who can protect you, support you, guide you, to Kirk's point, when they have already been where you want to go, follow those guys, because they can guide you and tell you, watch out for that pothole, watch out for this, quicksand, watch out for these different things, and help you get to that point. But transformation is first and foremost a mindset change. We get so indoctrinated into whatever our belief system is, whichever mindset we've been using for so long, that no wonder it's uncomfortable when we do make a change and we transform, because now we're changing neural pathways, we're changing the way we think, we're changing how we believe and think about ourselves. And this should constantly be a constant ongoing process. But for a lot of us, because we haven't been taught that, and that's not kind of how our Western educational system is set up, we think that once we get to a certain age, 18 or something, that we're stuck. That's just who I am. This is all I can do. I'm just this. And if that's all you want, that's fine. But if you're like most of us, you feel inside there's something more, there's something bigger. And that something more and something bigger is the real you, the expansive you trying to come out. So by allowing the old definitions to fall away and being uncomfortable for a time until that new definition comes in, that new belief system and thought process, that's all part of the transformation. And to Kirk's point, it's all internal. But once you change that internal, that mindset, then everything on the outside just naturally shifts, because when you become a new person, you no longer do what the old person did. Now you do what the new person does.
We must be intentional about the transformation that we want, we have in life. I think unless we are intentional, I personally think, it's incumbent upon us to be offensive in our transformation. Well, what I mean by that is, um, choose to go after the things you want, because otherwise life will just force you down pathways that you don't necessarily want to be down. And so if we're focused on where we want to go, and we almost pick and choose our battles, we stay offensive in life, we look forward to transforming continually into a greater and higher evolution of who we are. And if we focus on that, then then we're always pursuing that next level of who we want to be. And our family, whether it be kids, spouse, siblings, parents, grandparents, whatever, they almost need us to continually be, and society, man, our friends, our job, our churches, our whatever, need us to continually be evolving to higher levels of existence, higher levels of whoever we are. And so if we choose to seek constant transformation into a better version of ourselves, that's the foundation to getting into the gym. That's the foundation to watching what you eat, and watching what you intake into your body. And it's like, that's not aligned with my goals to be constantly transforming to a better version of myself. A better, I mean, the best you can do, whatever your glass ceiling is. You try to tap out on your last day of life at that glass ceiling. We all, we kind of, we all have different levels of where we're going to end up being. But if you max out where you are, man, and just maxim out your potential, that's half the battle right there. And that comes through the form of constant transformation into something better than who you are, as opposed to sitting on the couch eating flaming hot Cheetos and watching reality TV.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, change and transformation are inevitable. Suffering is optional. And most of us suffer because we're fighting against the natural change and transformation going on in our lives, and we're not being conscious of it. We're not being consistent with it. We're not even making a conscious decision to say, well, here's my new level. We used to joke that we should change it from age to level. I'm now at level 48. I'm moving up to level 49. And we thought about it that way, maybe we'd be more inclined to go, okay, what's the new skill set? What's the new learning I need to do? But what we tend to do, and what I see a lot of folks doing, and I've been guilty of this in the past, was just going along to get along, and then suffering comes along with the change because we're fighting the natural changes that happen in life. We're fighting our natural urge to transform, to become better, to become the best version of ourselves. And so that fighting against the natural urges, that fighting against the natural growth, causes the suffering because you want to hang on tooth and nail to who you used to be because it's comfortable. Well, comfort is killing us, gentlemen. We had Adam Feuerstein from the Forge on. That was one of his big things. Comfort is killing us. We're losing the masculinity. We're losing the edge. We're losing our warriorness because we're getting too comfortable. And society is designed to keep us comfortable. I mean, a million channels to watch on, TV or on streaming. You can have everything delivered. You never have to leave your couch. I mean, you can get real crazy with it and install a bathroom or wear Depends or something like that. You never have to leave the couch. But that comfort is killing us, and embracing the suck, embracing the transformation, embracing the fact that we are going to change through the, whether it's by age or by goals or dreams, we're always going to change because once you reach a new level, once you reach a new goal, then you're going to realize that that's just a step on the way to the next goal and a step on the way to the next goal. And when we don't consciously accept and work towards conscious transformation, then we tend to suffer because we're fighting against the tide. We're fighting against the flow of the river that's pushing us towards who we really are.
Mm. Hey, super quick pause for the cause. Well, first of all, thank you for all of our sponsors out there, whether it be, Barry Overton, whether it be Castle Rock Men's Health. I even took my wife down there, and so we might have some stories about that in the future. And then of course, our team over at Pro Auto Care, man. Why don't you give them a little shout out?
Oh yeah, Pro Auto Care. I mean, we had them on. We had Al on to talk about integrity in the automotive industry, which is almost unheard of. So it's like a big thing. And then we brought him and the family on talking about family and business because all of his kids work for him and work with him, and they were running that business. But it is one of the best places to get your car fixed because they were honest, they were upfront. I mean, Kirk even went in there about a broken mirror, and they were like, "Do you really need to fix it?" Which, I mean, have you ever heard of a place say, "We don't need your money. You don't need to fix it." And they took care of a transmission seal because I was leaking transmission fluid, put in some new belts, changed the oil. I mean, it took care of me. I just went in randomly on a Monday because I had to be by the shop, and they were like, "Yeah, let's set you up with the loaner car. Let's get you taken care of." And boom, today I picked up my truck. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for my trip next week. I mean, these guys are amazing. They'll work with you. And if you are sick and tired of getting robbed and ripped off out in the world by the shady car mechanics and these big dealerships that are just there to pad their wallets and raise their budget, go check out the guys at Pro Auto Care. They'll take care of you.
Definitely. If you're in the Denver area, I happen to have Al's card right here in front of me. Boom, I'll read it. It's the phone number 303-758-7767 and proauto1.com is their website address, I think. So man, great folks, man. And again, we couldn't do a lot of this stuff, without them, without people believing that, when men are better, everybody's better. And so, yeah, but the whole idea of transformation, man, is constant growth. We should seek constant growth. And to your point, when we constantly grow in our mind, our mindset, that tends to be the first domino that knocks down a whole lot of ones that gets us to where we want to be in our overall health, our overall goals, and who we are. And then eventually, when you grow too big from the inside out, then you shed that shell. And then you get around some other ones that can help protect you in the transformation process. And then you do it all over again. Then it starts all over again, and you leave the junk behind. And so, from a transformation thing, man, it's part of life, but it's part of life that we should embrace. That we should do as gracefully as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. You might as well jump on board, jump on the wave, get on the roller coaster, and have fun with it, because it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, we're all growing up in years. We're going through phases of life. You start out as a toddler, then a kid, and then adolescent, and then teenager, and then young 20. I mean, and each of these phases has changes. You're changing school grades. You're changing from elementary school to middle school to high school to college to military, or to whatever the next stage is, and then to family, to career, to business, to retirement. I mean, it's constantly moving along, and you're constantly changing. And if you're fighting against that, or attempting to hold on to who you used to be, then who you can be and who you really are isn't going to show up, or you're going to be basically fighting with yourself to stay stuck where you used to be, when everything is pulling you, God and the universe is pulling you towards who you really are and who you're going to be. It's a constant evolution, it's constant change. And until we embrace that and open our minds up to, well, what are the possibilities? Because it's going to happen anyway. So maybe I jump on this ship, I jump on the wave and ride it and have a good time with it and be conscious of this constant change and transformation, or it's going to happen to me, and then it's going to cause a lot of suffering, because I want to stay small, I want to stay young, I want to stay all these things that you're just not going to stay. So being consciously aware that, hey, transformation, change is going to happen. I might as well be on board with it, versus fighting against. It's like the immovable object and the unstoppable force. It's going to happen. So either you get in line with it, or you get run over by it.
Yeah. And then in the process of transformation, and I'll kind of land here a little bit since we're winding down, but in the process of transformation, give yourself grace for the journey. Give yourself grace for the process itself. It's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it might look ugly. When they showed a video of one of them crabs like coming out of molting, coming out of it was like, wow, that freaked me out, man. And it's not pretty at all. I mean, shoot, even with our show right here, man, we're growing. We're not waiting till everything is perfect. We're not trying to wait until we're the prettiest thing on the market. We're doing this thing. Even tonight, man, some of our stream is a little bit up and down. We might be struggle streaming a little bit, but that's not stopping us from being, from embracing the transformation that's involved in this whole thing. Go through the transformation process, we got to understand that it's going to be a process, and sometimes you got to embrace the suck. Sometimes you got to learn from the suck, and sometimes you just got to, taste the suck. I don't know. But it just kind of taste the rainbow. Sure. It just kind of is what it is. But understand that it's a process. Understand that it's a journey, and the journey is the destination, and transformation is part of the journey and part of the destination.
Yeah, I mean, life is all about learning and growing, and who you used to be is not who you are. And I think for a lot of us, we've gotten so accustomed to who we think we are, and we attach so much emphasis on my name, my culture, my upbringing, my past self, that we don't allow ourselves the grace and the opportunity for the natural transformation that's going to happen in your life. And when you make that switch, life gets much easier and you get much more grace and you get much more allowing of not being good at things, because every time you make a transformation, every time you shift something, you basically start out. I mean, even in the 4 levels of learning, you do that through elementary school, then you come to junior high, and now you're the new person. Then high school, now you're the freshman, and then you go, graduate. Now you're a freshman in college, and so on and so forth. It's a constant up and down wave. It's a sine wave, and you're constantly learning. And when you understand that's what's going on, then you're less likely to fight it. You're less likely to get stuck in these old paradigms. And I hope you guys will, if you're in the Denver area, will join us June 15th for the Men's Summit. I think we found a location. We're just finalizing details, but we're going to be powerful speakers. Kirk and I are both going to be there. But one of the things we are going to be talking about is how you transform, and how one way you can transform is by questioning who you are. Like, well, am I really that person I was 10 years ago? Probably not. But if you're stuck in that mindset, then you may think, well, that's just who I am and I can't do anything about it. You can always do things about it. This life is your own, choose your own adventure game. You get to choose your adventure. And guarantee you, if you're not choosing your adventure, it's getting chosen for you. So you might as well step up to the bat and choose it for yourself. Otherwise, it might not be the adventure you want. I see a lot of guys suffering with that because they kind of got bamboozled into whatever it was, and then now they're like, I don't know if that's really what I wanted, and so they're having to transform out of that. So choose your own adventure, be your own leader, be your own warrior, be your own vanguard, be the person who knows what they want and is moving towards that, versus the one that's getting drugged along, because you're either the leader or you're the follower, and sometimes we got to be both. Sometimes we got to go back and forth. That's life. But if you're not consciously aware that change and transformation are the constants in life, but that suffering is optional, and you can choose to change and transform and make it a much more fun, interesting, entertaining adventure of life versus a struggle, you get that mindset, and I think a lot of things will get a lot better, because no matter where you are right now, you can change. Whether you're coming out of prison, whether you're coming out of addiction, whether you're coming out of a marriage, I mean, whether you're coming out of high school, it's all change and transformation. You either do it consciously or it gets done to you unconsciously. So that's our 2 cents on it, or maybe our 4 cents if we add our 2 cents together. And until next time, remember, we are the Madmen. We love you. Like and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We are just starting to get all over. We're going global with this thing. And like and subscribe, comment, and make sure you comment sometimes on YouTube or on Spotify. Don't just tell us a year later, like, oh, I watched the episode, I like it. Man, be a part of the team. Join the Madmen Mafia. Subscribe, like, hit that little bell icon so you know when we're posting, and make sure you comment with 4 words like, I hate you guys. That's 4 words. That works just fine. That helps the algorithm. Any
And with
words?
that, Madmen are out.
Out.